Stop! Before you pack that raw substrate into your mushroom bag and rubber, come to think of it, do you know that could be the reason why you are getting low yield? You're welcome to today's video, and today we are going to learn about how composting can massively boost your mushroom yield, prevent contamination, and also give you healthier and bigger mushroom. Not to waste much time, let's dive in before we make a very costly mistake in mushroom farming, which most farmers are doing. But before we start this whole thing, I want to let you know that we have different type of mushroom and each of them have different requirements. So if you are growing white oyster mushroom, if you are a white oyster mushroom grower, you can skip this video. But the rest who want to grow like green oyster mushroom, button mushroom, then there is a need to do serious composting. So as usual, grab some snacks, a chair, pen, your booklet, take some notes, and let's dive in. Composting is one of the most overlooked yet powerful steps in mushroom farming. It is not just about rotting your substrate. It is a biological process that transforms raw agricultural waste into nutrient-rich and balanced material that mushroom love to grow on. Remember, mushrooms grow on dead organic matter, even in the wild. During composting, beneficial microbes breaks down lignin and cellulose, making nutrients easily available for the mushroom mycelium, right? This process also kills harmful pathogens, reduce ammonia, and then also balance the moisture and the pH of the substrate, creating a perfect environment for strong mycelium to grow on. Also, it is very important to monitor your temperature during composting. The compost pile should heat up to between 60 to 70 degrees Celsius, that is 140 to 160 Fahrenheit, during the active composting. That is when the magic happens, right? So when you are heaping your compost or when you are decomposing, you realize that at the day 4 or the 5th day, when you are going to do the tanning, the heat inside your compost should be able to cook an egg. Yes, it becomes very hot, and that is where the magic happens for your compost to be very rich. So how exactly does composting increase yield? I know that is your question. I know. So let's break down 3 ways composting increase yield. So the first one is better nutrients available. Mushrooms can also absorb nutrients faster from composted substrate. So when the sawdust is raw and compared to when the sawdust has gone through decomposition, the nutrients in the substrate that have gone through the decomposition is readily available compared to the raw sawdust. So therefore, the mycelium are able to absorb the readily available nutrients, colonize faster, grow faster, and bigger yield. So this means that fastest colonization and heavy flash. Like I said, the colonization goes faster, and then when your mushrooms start coming, it comes very big because the nutrients are ready available for the mycelium to use. The second one is that it reduces contamination. Yes, composting reduces contamination. So composting kills competing microorganisms like mold and bacteria. So fewer losses, more mushroom, right? Thirdly, it improves the structure and moisture balance. So when you are formulating your compost, observe, and on the day of bagging, observe, you will realize that compost substrate holds water better and even have good aeration, right? So when you are formulating your compost and you add water, after formulating the compost, you realize that excess water will be dripping off, and sometimes the substrate does not even contain a lot of water, but excess water will be dripping off. But when it has decomposed, it holds water, and then you get that good water balance. So the need for you to decompose. So when your moisture content is well balanced, it means that you have consistent growth and then also bigger mushroom cap. So if the water is not consistent, the mycelium cannot colonize well, whereby you have half or patch colonization. So there's a need for you to decompose. Now, here is where many new farmers go wrong. They skip composting. They rush things. Shortcuts, right? Using fresh sawdust or unfermented waste is a big mistake. Fresh sawdust still contains toxic resins, having been biologically balanced. This slow down mycelium growth, cause contamination, and drastically cut down your yield. Try growing mushroom from sawdust, raw sawdust. Harvest that mushroom, take it to a lab, because the oil from the sawmill machines, the metals, the heavy metal, everything is there. You've not decomposed it. You want shortcuts to get your money, but do you think of the health of your farmers? Because most mushroom farmers are like, oh, you don't have to decompose. Why will you decompose for a month? Yes, you want shortcuts. You want your money. But do you consume what you're producing? And then do you take the health of your consumers into consideration? So there's a need for you to decompose. So for example, I visited a mushroom farmer in Accra here. I visited his farm and he was bagging fresh sawdust. It's like, Evelyn, I've discovered a new way. You don't have to even formulate compost. You can bag. Guess what happened? Over 90% contamination, and he was blaming it on the environment. There's still mud dust and the place is not well clean and blah 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 blah. It was he not decomposing right. A farmer who refused to decompose and use fresh sawdust because it looks clean. You are in a hurry, okay? So you are going to lose. This farmer lose over 90% of all his work to contamination. And after composting properly, the yield doubled in the next cycle, right? When you do composting, your yield double. From the beginning of the video, I said that if you are growing white oyster mushroom, pass. White oyster mushrooms are tough. Even if you don't formulate compost, they can grow for you. Even if there's contamination, the mycelium can still colonize and you still get mushroom. But if you are growing green or button mushroom, trust me, you can skip composting. And even with the white oyster mushroom that most farmers are growing without decomposing, please take your mushroom sample to the lab, run a test on it, and you know what you are feeding to your consumers. My farm, when I'm doing composting, I always compost 1 ton at a go. So with the 1 ton, I use 2 bags of wheat bran, which each one weighs 25 kg. So 50 kg of wheat bran for 1 ton of compost, and then 10 kg of calcium carbonate for 1 ton of compost. That is 1% and 5% of the wheat bran and the calcium carbonate. Then mix it together homogeneously, add water, and then pile it up. And then I do tanning every 4 to 5 days, right? For 3 weeks to 1 month. So for me to know that my compost is ready, one, the heat in the compost reduces to bare minimum, very low. The scent of ammonia goes down completely, and then the color of the sawdust changes from that brighter sawdust color to a dark brown sawdust color, which shows that my compost is ready to be used. Truth of the matter is that according to research, farmers who compost before bagging have reportedly increased yield, that is from 30 to 50% compared to those that skipped the process. That is like earning half of your profit extra just by doing simple writing. Okay, simple writing. Don't use the shortcuts. Do the right thing. You get the yield, you get the money, and you produce quality. So if you truly want to scale your mushroom farm, start composting today. So if you're a fan of doing straight without composting, you do the composting and then come back and tell me the difference. Just do it 1 time and come back and tell me the difference. Okay, it is one of the smartest investments for consistent yield and then quality. Don't make the mistake of skipping composting. I repeat, don't make the mistake of skipping composting. So if you've learned something today, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, like the video. If you've learned something new today, leave a comment below if you haven't tried composting before, and don't forget to subscribe for more practical mushroom farming tips from Premier AgricHub.